This driving diary is going to be about foundations. Foundations that I've grown up with in church. Foundations of church life, especially institutional church life, that really don't seem to work very well. Back about 4 years ago, the Barna Group came out with a statistic in interviewing thousands of churches from different denominations, discovering that about 82% of Americans do not attend church regularly. And regularly was based on one time a month. So that means 18% of Americans are actually going to church regularly, at least once a month. And this has been going on for years, and there's actually a decline in church growth. There are some churches that are growing, but it's because some churches are closing their doors, and it's just a lot of transfer growth. A lot of growth in institutional churches have been transfer growth for a very long time. But anyhow, some of the foundational things that I've learned that aren't even in the Bible need to begin to be torn down in my life. And I really need God to begin to make new foundations. Luckily, God doesn't repair things, He just makes things new. That doesn't mean the things that are foundation in my life or had been foundation in my life can't be used. That foundation can be torn up, and the material from that foundation can be put into a new foundation. At least the good stuff, the stuff that is made out of what the Bible and Matthew would say is precious metals. Things that don't burn up, things that can last the test of time. And I'm not talking the test of time is, yeah, we've been doing it this way for 50 years and we're never going to change it. The test of time of things that are successful, not just things that have helped people in churches survive. I guess an easy example would be a youth group. A youth group that they have a special event just for youth, and they tell all the youth to invite all their friends, and all their unsafe friends, come to this event. We're going to make this a really big event, and all this hoopla, and it's going to be really exciting, and then we're going to tell your friends about Jesus and stuff like that. I've been a part of those events, hear about those events, and the success rate of people actually coming to know Jesus is extremely small or not at all. Yet if you use the same amount of time and the same amount of people and the same amount of resources and actually put that straight to evangelism and discipleship, your success rate would be a whole lot better. I think part of the problem is we don't have a foundation of discipleship. People don't know how to disciple, and a lot of people don't even know what discipleship even is. And most people have never even been discipled. They've been to discipleship classes, but they've never actually been discipled, which is what Jesus had commissioned us to do: go and make disciples. He never told us to make churches, make buildings, make congregations. He said make disciples. And Jesus set the example, his disciples set the examples, and the disciples set the example, yet for some reason we don't follow their example. So one of the foundations I've grown up with is we have to have a building in order to have a church. And that is not true. That's not even biblical. The Bible talks about, here's an example. Jesus talks to Peter and says, you're the church. I'm going to build, and upon this rock, I'm going to build my church, and Hades won't prevail. That right there shows me that Jesus himself was making an example by using Peter, not that Peter only, but using Peter as an example, that you are my church. I'm going to build my church on you, because we, the people, are a church, not a building, not an address, not a congregation, but individuals. We are the church. And Jesus was saying, I'm going to build my church on you. And how do I know this? Because also, he says, don't you know you're the temple? Don't you know the Spirit of God lives in you? And he tells us to take care of the temple. Why? Because he wants us to take care of the church. Why? Because The church is going to reach the people. Not the building, not the organization, not the institution, but the people themselves. Yet my foundation was built on the fact that you had to get people to the church, the building. The foundation is invest your money, your time, your tithe, your offering into a building, an address, a postal code. But that's not even biblical. Jesus wants us to invest in people, right? The DNA of the Christian is divine truth, nurturing relationships, and apostolic mission. The divine truth is the first commandment, the greatest command. Love God. Above everything and everyone, love God. The second one, nurturing relationships, is to love others like you love yourself. That alone, if you truly love God, that alone will cause your spirit to want to find lost souls and disciple them. Loving others will cause you to actually disciple and take the time to disciple. And then apostolic mission, you will do the Great Commission God has intended us to do. The 2 commandments and the 1 Great Commission, make disciples. You have to get people saved in order to make disciples. The foundation of a person is their DNA. The foundation of Christianity is to fulfill the 2 great commands and the 1 commission. And honestly, the institutional church has failed to make disciples, to love others. And this is, I guess I'll have to finish up some more about foundations later.